So welcome to module 2 of our course. In this module, we're officially diving into the world of HTML, the language that gives structure to every web page on the internet. And by the end of this video, you'll know how to write your very first HTML page using basic tags that power the web. So let's jump on in. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It's the foundation of every web page. It's used to define the content and structure of what you see in a browser. Now, technically, HTML isn't a programming language, it's a markup language. That means it uses tags to describe different parts of a page, like headings, paragraphs, and images. So let's now dive on over to our HTML editor and look at the basic absolute minimum code you need to create a web page. So I'm going to head on over there now and join me in your HTML editor on the Hackr.io platform. So here I am in the editor and I'm going to clear this off. And in fact, we are in our existing thing that we had before, which was a test project. So I'm going to delete that project. And we're going to start in a new project. Great. So we've cleared ourselves off and we're in a brand new project. Okay. So what do we need for the minimum code to create a page? Well, let me delete that and delete this and let's have a look. So we are going to write out some code. I want you to type it out with me and then I'm going to give a breakdown of what this code means. So the first thing is the doc type declaration. Next, we're going to have our opening HTML tag. Then we're going to have a head tag. Then we're going to have a title tag, and we're going to title this My First Page. We're then going to close our title tag. Then we're going to close our head tag. And then we're going to create a body tag. And then in the body tag, we're going to create an H1. We're going to say, hello world. Now, this is a classic way to learn any type of programming. The hello world program is the standard. So we'll do it for HTML as well. Why not? We'll do a closing body tag and then finally begin to close our HTML. And now I'm just going to run this and let's have a look what comes out in the output. There you go. Hello world. So now let's break down what I've done here. So this here is the doc type tag. This tells the browser this is an HTML5 document. This HTML tag, as you can see, opens and closes here. It wraps the entire page content. This is all the page content within those tags. Then we've got a head tag. This is where we define meta info, like the page info. This is essentially hidden information. Then we've got the body, and this is the visible content. So notice the hello world H1 is visible here. So that is it. You can learn more about how each of these elements work using any extra resources included with this module. And of course, ask mentor anytime. So let's now discuss a few other tags that we use constantly before creating another page. And this will be actually the beginning of the first project we can build for this course. So here are a few tags that you'll use constantly, H1 through to H6. Now notice we used an H1 over here. This is a heading tag. These are all headings tags where H1 is the biggest. Then we've got a P tag. This is a paragraph text and we'll use that in a moment. A BR is a line break. This is a self-closing idea and this is used often in HTML documents as well. And then an HR tag is a horizontal line, which is great for dividing sections. So we'll add a horizontal line within our code as well. So now let's just get hands-on and we're going to build our first real page. So let's delete everything we've got here. Start over and we're going to type this out. I want you to type it out with me. And this is going to be an about page that we're going to build throughout all the modules in this course before we get to the capstone project. And this is going to be a great way for you to hands-on learn HTML. So like I mentioned, we need to start with our doc type at the beginning. Then we need our HTML tag. And a quick way if you wanted to is you could close the HTML tag now and then create some lines if you wanted. And that way you've got that already done. Then we're going to create our head tag, and then we're going to create our title tag, and we're going to say about me, and then we're going to close our title tag. Then we're going to close our head tag. Then we're going to create our body tag. And then within this, let's create an H1, and let's just say, hi, and add your name. I'm obviously Robert, so I'll say Robert. And there we go. And then I'm going to add a P, which is a paragraph tag that I mentioned a minute ago. So let's use our first paragraph tag. Welcome to my first web page. Let's then close our paragraph tag. And then we're going to add a line just for nice, neat formatting. Let's create an H2 and we're going to call this my interests. Close our H2. So noticing we're opening and closing a lot of these tags. These aren't self-closing, so you need to open it and then close it. And noticing the closing always has this /. Okay, you'll see a self-closing tag in a moment when we use a horizontal line. So this is a P tag, and let's say I love coding, reading, and eating. These are all facts. Okay. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to close the nav bar just to give ourselves a bit more space. Great. Excellent. And now what? Let's add ourselves a horizontal line. Now notice this is a self-closing tag, so there's no need for an extra tag at the end there. I've simply self-closed it. Okay. And then let's add an H3 and let's say, quote, I like This is obviously closing H3, and then let's add another paragraph tag, and let's add this. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Now, this is me maybe being a bit esoteric, but essentially, when you learn into code and you learn to become a web developer, it is a big journey. And the first step is taking this course. So congratulations on doing that. Okay, then now finally, let's close our body tag, and we can remove that spare line. And we now have our very first HTML page. And we can run this right away and see the output. So if I wanted to clear that, I can say, then run, click run code, and you can see everything that's here. We've got our H1 here. We've got our paragraph. We've then got our H2 for interest. And there's the paragraph. There is our horizontal line, then our H3, then another paragraph. And notice that H1 is bigger than H2, is bigger than H3. Now, we've not applied any CSS styling for this yet. This is all plain, but you can get a great idea of what's going on. Now, let's save this project, and we're going to save this and use it throughout each module. So let's call this about. Okay, and let's click save. Project is saved. And now if we go back to our nav bar and go to our HTML save project, we should be able to see about HTML is there. We could reload that by clicking on it. And you can see the code is still there. Excellent. So here is a tip. For readability, always use proper indentation. Notice I've got indentation here. This is really great. Nesting your tags using 2 spaces or a tab to stay consistent is the ability to give yourself clean code, which is easier to read and easier to debug. Now, it's a lot easier to see what's happening here, how it's all sectioned by using indentation. Now, that is my quick tip from this module. But essentially, I just want to say, great work. You built your first real HTML page, and you've now learned the basic building blocks of web content. Now, in the next module, we're going to explore how to organize your content with lists, add links, and even display images. Now, remember, if anything is unclear, use the extra resources that are provided, or again, ask Mentor. So I'll see you in module 3.